Hello, and welcome to Afro Law, as well as welcome to the first episode of Law Bits. You might be asking yourself what Law Bits are. Law Bits are bite-sized law for you on a given subject from the world of Destiny. From events to characters, I hope to cover them all. Today, we are going to start off with the basics. What were the events that happened before the game began? For humanity, the story begins in the year 2014, when humanity notices an unknown artifact entering the orbit of Mars. It was as clear as day that humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and this was a concern to all of humanity. 15 months later, due to a worldwide effort led by the People's Republic of China, the Russian Federation, and the United States of America, Ares 1 was launched to investigate this strange object. Ares 1 would later become known as the most famous space voyage in human history. And so the three, Mihalova, Chow, and Hardy, descended onto Mars. As it is well known, Mars is a desolate planet with essentially no atmosphere. But when they descended, it was into a storm, being buffeted back and forth by the harsh winds. As they trekked the terrain against what felt like the breath of God itself, the artifact began to come into sight. As they crossed the ridge ahead of them, it came into full view. At this moment, the first Martian rains began to pour from the heavens. And at this moment, the intent of the artifact was clear. It was terraforming Mars, and something else became clear as well. This unknown artifact that the world was so concerned about was not a conqueror nor an invader, but instead was something of benevolence. We called it the Traveler, and its arrival in our solar system would change humanity forever. This was the start of humanity's golden age. During this golden age, humanity's previous universal truths were changed. Life began to grow everywhere, as moons and planets all over the system were terraformed and colonized. Mercury became a garden world. Mars and Venus developed diverse ecosystems and had a wealth of resources, and the Moon became a central hub for the whole system, transporting resources from Earth to colonies such as the new arcology built upon the methane oceans on Titan. But it was not just the system that went through a massive change. Humanity arguably went through the biggest changes of all. Human lifespans tripled, and the fundamental core of society changed. Not only were we living longer and were more intelligent, but the knowledge acquired was put to use. A wide array of diseases that once plagued us were cured, and research went into a large number of scientific and philosophical fields. And the old hatreds of humanity were nowhere to be seen. Humanity boomed in every corner of the system. But more than just the planets and moons that we laid claim to, the expanse in technological understanding flourished during this time, with the great minds of the Clovis Bray Foundation and others like it spearheading the way to new innovations and technologies. The most notorious of which was the war mind Rasputin. Rasputin's primary directive was to protect humanity from sky shock alerts. Sky shock alerts were extrasolar threats that were beyond our system. Rasputin's intelligence was so vast that it could predict threats that it had never encountered and develop a solution to deal with the threat. But the war mind was not the only innovation of Braytech during the Golden Age. A new kind of matter was discovered through the study of relic iron, a new way to store data in a state completely free of physical matter. This state was called engrams. As well as this, they developed SIVA, an advanced intelligent nanotechnology that could create and build anything imaginable as long as it was given the proper directive, which obviously would have been extremely valuable to colonizers, as it could make a fabricated shelter or any number of essential tools needed in a moment's notice. And then there were the Exos, but I'll save that for another time. Clovis Bray were not the only ones making incredible discoveries in the name of humanity. The Ishtar Academy had discovered the ruins of a civilization that predated humanity by billions of years. These were the Vex, and the ruins that they found were that of the Infinite Steps and the notorious Vault of Glass. The Ishtar Academy made it their focus to study the Vex and their constructs. Everywhere humanity touched flourished, but in our arrogance, we never saw it coming. As the centuries of the Golden Age passed, Rasputin noticed a threat that was far beyond the reaches of our system. Something terrible, something that would spell the extinction of humanity. Rasputin's primary directive was to protect humanity, and due to this directive, the Exodus program was initiated. Thousands upon thousands of souls were placed on massive colony ships in an attempt to escape the coming disaster. But ultimately, it was in vain. As the vessels began to reach the edge of the system, something swept them in the other direction. In response to this, the Warmind raised its weapons with enough force to shatter the might of a star, and opened fire with its full fury. But even this was not enough. Humanity's golden age was ending, and the collapse had begun. Thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this first episode of Lore Bits. Whilst there are some stories that started during the Golden Age, I believe that they deserve an episode or more to themselves. If you enjoyed this, please consider pushing the like button. It tells me that you would like to see more content like this. As my schedule is jumpy right now, partly because these videos take time, I recommend pushing the subscribe button so that you never miss a video. But please know that you taking the time to watch this video and listen to me is more than I could ever ask. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.